Did you know you are constantly in contact with invisible energies all around you? Did you know we can tap into some of these energies like real life magic? Well, stick around to the end and you may be blown away by what we are capable of. Hello, everyone. My name is Nick, and welcome back to our channel at Inside Out Holistic Healing, where we spark curiosity, encourage personal growth, foster healing, and expand our collective consciousness. So, today I wanted to talk about unseen energy in our world. This is a broad, overarching topic that has fascinated me throughout my education and later, even more so, in my holistic wellness practices. So, as many of you know by now, I have 2 engineering degrees, and physics was one of the big things I studied both in high school and in college. I love tuning into the scientific community online and absorbing information from many different sources, so I may have a humble understanding myself. That said, I am not a physicist and will keep this video fairly simple. I will include sources in the description that you can check out for more info, and there's plenty of other credible sources out there that I encourage you to explore if you're curious like me. Without further ado, let's get into it. First, I'd like to talk about the good old electromagnetic spectrum. So, the electromagnetic spectrum consists of energy in the form of waves. So, on one end of the electromagnetic spectrum, we have the very long radio waves. These waves travel a very long distance and are used for most forms of long distance wireless communications, including radios and cellular devices. So, next in the order is microwaves. And big surprise, this is what our microwave ovens use to cook food. Side note, please keep in mind that microwave radiation can be kind of harmful to us from too much exposure. And so keep in mind, we're not supposed to stand too close to running microwaves to allow them to, and we're supposed to let them sit for a minute after completing so the radiation exposure can be minimized. So take that as you will. Next up is infrared waves, which are used for remote controls, following infrared with wavelengths. Shortening even more is visible light. So obviously this is the frequency of the spectrum that we humans can perceive with our eyes and allows most of us to have the gift of sight. With even shorter wavelengths, we go into the ultraviolet radiation, which carries more energy than visible light. Ultraviolet radiation contributes to the production of vitamin D in the body, and overexposure causes sunburn. Next up is X-rays, which are used for medical practices to produce images of what is going on inside the body. Too much exposure to X-ray radiation can cause damage to living tissue. And so finally, we have the most energetic radiation in this spectrum, and that is gamma radiation. Gamma radiation contains tremendous energy and is what we take advantage of for nuclear power production. So gamma radiation can be very dangerous to living organisms with anything after a certain level of exposure. The electromagnetic spectrum is mostly invisible to us, yet we are exposed to much of it 24/7 in our modern age. Next up on our unseen energies, I'd like to talk about magnetism. So magnetism is caused by the movement of electric charges. So all matter consists of atoms, and all atoms contain electrons that spin around the nucleus of the atoms. So in each atom, the spinning of the electron produces minuscule magnetic forces Elements with atoms that are primarily spin in the same direction are more strongly magnetic than those that have more electrons spinning in different directions. So a magnetic substance only becomes a magnet when its magnetic field meets the magnetic field of another highly magnetic substance to generate a magnetic force that attracts or repels each other based on alignment of their north and south poles. So like poles repel and opposite poles attract. A magnetic field can also be generated by creating a coil from a conductive material and running an electric current through the coil. As long as the current is flowing, the magnetic field is produced. So magnetism is the secret to a lot of humanity's most impressive inventions, as it is literally harnessing the power of electrons. Next up on our unseen energies is sound. So sound is fascinating because it is created when energy is transformed through a medium such as air or water. Sound requires there to be matter for the energy of the sound waves to be transferred. All sound has amplitude or intensity and frequency or pitch. And so there are frequencies that are below what humans can perceive with our ears, called infrasound, and frequencies above what we can perceive, called ultrasound. So both of which we utilize for many different technologies, such as ultrasounds for visualizing the inside of a pregnant woman's womb, or infrasound to track seismic activity. Sound therapy is a very real practice, and it utilizes specific sound frequencies to influence our brain waves and body functions to bring us into a state of rest and recovery. And sound healing is one of the things that we do here at Inside Out Holistic Healing, if you didn't already know that. Next up on our unseen energies, I want to talk about gravity briefly. We're all familiar with it. Things fall down all the time. Sometimes it can be helpful. Sometimes it can be, well, we've all dropped something we wish we didn't. So hopefully everyone is familiar with how gravity works, but it is an invisible force that is tied directly to the magnitude of the mass of an object. And the greater the mass, the stronger the gravitational field it has, and the greater acceleration of gravity it will impose on other objects around it. Basically, things with more mass pull in things with less mass. And the greater the scale, obviously, the greater the gravity. All right, guys, time to get a little weird with you. So next up is human subtle energy systems. So I invite you to have an open mind as we discuss the subtle energy systems with the human body, all of which have to do with this amazing invisible energy which we would not exist without. Side note, yes, the heart and brain also create a magnetic field as well, the heart more so than the brain, and that is another measurable energy system in our bodies. However, what I would like to bring our attention to next is something a little different. So throughout human history, many cultures around the world have consistently discovered how to influence subtle energies in the human body to influence the whole in meaningful ways. I personally can't prove that each of these is the same energy that I am about to share with you, but these life force energies go by many names from many cultures, with many different perspectives and methods for how to influence the human body, mind, and spirit. My own personal preferred name for this is universal life force energy. In other cultures and practices, it is known as, in Chinese, it's known as qi. ki in Japanese. In the Christian tradition, it's typically referred to as light or Holy Spirit. For Hindus, it's prana. The Kuhanas, Hunas, and Polynesians call it mana. Egyptians called it ka. Greeks called it pneuma. And a couple Native American tribes, the Sioux, Huron, and Iroquois, excuse me if I mispronounced any of those, call it Wakan, Oki, and Orenda, respectively. And even one of my favorite people in history, Nikola Tesla, coined a term for this energy, and he called it tachyon energy. So, what about this? So, according to American Counseling Association and my cumulative education on the topic, our subtle energy system consists of at least 3 components. Those are meridians, chakras, and the biofield or aura. So meridians are the non-physical pathways within the human body that this life energy flows through. In the Chinese tradition, qi travels throughout these meridians, and the traditional practice of acupuncture focuses on this system. Chakras are these swirling vortex energy centers within the body. There are the 7 primary chakras that are fairly well known, which align with from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown chakra. Many practices indicate that there are many more less prominent chakras within the body. In many meditation and energy healing practices, the flow of the energy within each chakra is correlated with specific physical, mental, and spiritual wellness or disease. The biofield or aura is a large field of energy that extends out from our body. Some sources describe it as extending out about 8 feet from the body. That will vary depending on your source. Generally, the aura cannot be seen by the naked eye. However, studies and many accounts from the energy healers indicate that it is possible to visibly see auras, and one study suggests that the ability to see auras is linked to a condition called synesthesia, which means the individual has significantly more synaptic connections than the average person between the different areas of the brain that interprets the senses. So basically, it means the senses can sort of overlap as someone being able to, for instance, see colors from sound or taste shapes or anything weird like that that connects to 2 different senses. According to some, seeing auras can be a trained skill, and I'm sure you could find somewhere on the internet to learn about that if you'd like. Today, the understandings of these subtle energy systems is less mainstream in the midst of Western medicine. However, it is notable that many energy healing methods, such as Reiki, have been accepted in some places as having legitimate therapeutic value within hospitals. I myself am a Reiki level 2 practitioner at the time of this recording this video. I was someone who was a skeptic at first and followed only scientific evidence for what I believed in. Sooner or later, the anecdotal evidence came up from so many different people and so many different sources, and it was too much for me to ignore. I had to find out a little bit about it myself. And I was not disappointed when I got into Reiki. I can tell you, I can physically feel the energy fields. I can physically feel when I'm removing something from a client. Uh, it is very real for me, and it is very real for a lot of people. So, who knows? If it sparks your curiosity, I encourage you to look into it. So, tapping into this universal life force energy from any of the many practices from different cultures is a powerful experience. Just remember that, especially with Reiki, the natural law is that this positive energy flows to where it will serve the greatest good. So as long as you have pure intentions and proper training, you too can learn to tap into, channel this universal life force energy. So, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you enjoy our content, it would mean the world to me if you could drop a like and subscribe below. If anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or connect with us in the link in the description. So thank you guys so much. I wish you all peace and blessings on your journey. Thank you.